Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today is day 17 of my Crafter's Companion 2021 Advent Calendar series. Behind today's door is this embossing folder that is about 2 by 2 inch or 2.5 by 2.5 inches. And so I've just cut some 2.5 by 2.5 inch square pieces of white cardstock, and I'm gonna do the sort of inking letterpress technique in both styles. So here I'm inking the side that is going to essentially color the paper surrounding the embossed image, and so you'll have nice pretty color on around the outside of this floral spray, but the floral spray itself will remain the color of the cardstock, which in this case I'm using white. And I did find that I needed a little cardstock shim in order to get the ink to fully press down. So I briefly showed a comparison of my first attempt versus without the shim and the subsequent attempts with the shim. So now I'm going to ink up the opposite side. So the side that actually pushes the design into your paper. And so we'll get basically the reverse effect of the first two panels that I created, and this will be a debossed design, meaning instead of the floral spray looking as if and feeling as if it's raised from the card base, it's actually going to look and feel as though it's pressed into or sunken into the cardstock. And inking up that the embossing folder in this way just highlights and just really makes it more prominent, the detail on this embossing folder, which I think is really pretty. And again, I did use a cardstock shim also while running it through on this side too. So I'll actually, I ran a few panels through my little mini machine, which is great because all the dies and embossing folders that come in the advent calendar, they do fit through your mini. So if you don't have a standard or a large platform die cutting machine, the mini is really very affordable, and all of the embossing folders and dies that come in the advent calendar will fit through there. So if you don't already have a machine and you don't think that the contents of the advent calendar will be that usable to you, maybe consider picking up the Gemini Mini or any mini die cutting machine. They'll all work very similar to each other. So I'm gonna use 4 panels, so 2 that are embossed and 2 that are debossed, and I'm gonna kind of configure them in this manner where they're sort of all pointing towards the center, and they're going to be sort of kitty corner from each other in terms of the deboss side versus the emboss side. So you have a little bit of a pattern going on there. And I'm just trying to find some pink cardstock that I think will be a nice matte layer behind this, because I don't want to put it directly onto my white card base, which is a 6x6 card base. But I don't want a pink. I wanted it to be pink, but I didn't want it to be too close in tone to the actual ink that I use, because then there's not going to be enough contrast between the pink and especially the embossed version, where the pink color is outside of the floral spray design. And now that I've got my panels and background sorted out, I'm going to create a little topper to go in the center of that sort of grid pattern. And I'm using the Sending Lots of Love stamp that came in a previous, on a previous day. And the first time I stamped this out, I was being brave and I used my acrylic block, but didn't get a full impression. So now I'm putting it into my stamp positioning tool, and that's gonna allow me to ink this up multiple times. And I'm using my white ink, but I'm also going to heat emboss this with white detail embossing powder, and that'll give it this really nice sort of enamel glossy finish as well. So it's a nice shine detail that I think just looks a little bit more crisp and white than just the white pigment ink, although that's a totally optional step. And so I'll sort of mimic the 2.5-inch tiles that we have, but I want to give this sentiment panel a matte, and actually I ended up double matting this just to give it enough contrast against the busyness of our floral sprays. And I really like if I had to pick between the two letterpress techniques, I really like the emboss where the color is outside surrounding the floral spray. I think that came out really, really well, and you still get a really nice crisp impression and borders around the floral spray detail. And my only trick to inking up your embossing folder is to try to hold your ink cube or ink pad as flat as possible and don't push down. And that way you're more likely to only get ink on the raised bit of the folder, which I think is going to be, that's sort of the key to getting a really nice inking that isn't as it's still going to feel a little bit distressed because it's not going to have like full coverage, and a little bit of ink may get into sort of that floral embossed area. That's sort of to be expected, but you can minimize that a little bit by trying to just gently graze the surface of the embossing folder. And that way you don't get too much ink where you don't want it. And so here again, I'm just trying to find a shade of pink that I think will help my topper stand out from the busyness or the design of my panels, of the floral spray panels that I have. And I brought out that stack of colored cardstock. Those are the sheets of 8x8 colored cardstock that I've accumulated from various Crafter's Companion kits that I've purchased over the years. So it's amazing how long the kit contents last, and how useful they are, because you get them in such specific shades that are curated to match the papers that come in your that month's craft kit. And so there are sometimes very subtle, nuanced differences between the various shades of pink, and I find that sometimes that's nice because if you're looking for something to match specifically a pattern paper or an ink, that's where I always go, because I know there's going to be a lot of options for me to pick from there. And so that's basically my card complete. I think this turned out really well. I really like the letterpress technique with the embossing folders. I think it really helps the design come forward, and I like using the combination of both styles, the embossed and the debossed. Well, I hope that you liked this video today, and if you did, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing. And if you want to catch tomorrow's video, and you haven't already, click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Until then, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!